My sister raised my nephew with ruthless parenting and almost made himself exit this world. Now she's shocked that he said he doesn't care if she lives or dies after she had a stroke. Posted by Useful Disaster 4994. I come from a big family. We are 5 siblings, 2 sets of twins, 50F, my sister, whose twin died in utero, 47M, me and my brother, and 42F, my other 2 sisters. We are talking about our oldest sibling. My parents were really careful not to parentify her because they both had the same fate in their families. They took good care of us, and all of us have fruitful and satisfying careers. The problem is, at least for my sister, that they didn't push us there. They encouraged us, but they never had the expectation. This was a problem for my oldest sister. She always found them lazy and unmotivated, and she limited contact with us after she graduated from law school. She became a really successful lawyer, married to a renowned surgeon, who is my friend from medical school, a really ambitious guy who also has OCD, and had his son at age 32 via IVF. It was all planned. After she had her son, aka my nephew, she started to push him really hard. She tried to make him read at age 2, sent him to piano lessons from age 4, and had one-on-one tutors since first grade. He was never allowed to have free time, and every moment of his life was curated. The only time slot he had was Saturday afternoon, when he would visit my parents, and we always planned events and free time for him. His teenage years were absolute hell. He was forced beyond his capacities by my sister and her husband, and when he was 16, he tried to commit suicide at the hospital where her husband works by stealing benzos from the nurse's counter. After that, he had a good time in the inpatient ward, 5 months in the ward, 3 months in a group home, and afterward, he wanted to stay with me. I am the only one of my siblings who does not have a child, and I live with my husband in a 3-story villa, so he could have the roof to himself. My sister's husband had an awakening and divorced her after this. He and my nephew had a year of family therapy, and last summer, my nephew moved back in with him and decided to pursue medicine. I don't live in the United States. Medical school starts directly after high school and lasts 6 years. During that time, my sister really dug in her heels. She blamed us and her ex-husband for letting my nephew be weak. She said he was alive and had to endure this so he could become resilient and untouchable. She said in court, "I don't care if he feels bad, this is life, you either climb the ladder or you fall down. If he fell down, there's nothing we can do. Life goes on." I have never seen someone look with such pure anger as the head judge, who said, "You are a really successful lawyer, I'll give you that, but you are a terrible person and a being that can't be called a parent," and then turned to her ex-husband and said, "You need help, a lot of help." Last January, my sister had a mini stroke, TIA, and she genuinely started to think about her life, as I understood from my brother, who is the only one of us who checks up on her. Last week, she tried to reach out to my nephew, but he directly said he did not care whether she was alive or not. When she tried to talk to me about it, I briefly said, "What were you expecting, sis?" and ended the call. Now the whole family is calling me a jerk and thinks I should have supported her. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. Not the jerk, she treated parenthood like a boot camp, and now she's shocked the recruit went AWOL. Actions have consequences, even for top-tier lawyers. Ops response. I do remember how her fellow lawyers talked about her after this, and she was very heavily criticized. I have some high school buddies who are lawyers, and they had very juicy gossip about her. She is one of the lawyers they call Haifisch in German. She is known for her relentless ambition, an almost pathological hunger for dominance. Commenter 2. Growing up with her as a sibling must have been fun. On a side note, my parents are also the type of people who ask, "So, why is it not 10, instead of congratulating your 9? And that's something I have sworn never to do with my kids. Ops response. She did not interact with us much, so I can say she wasn't a big problem for us. She was a problem for our parents, though. I remember her yelling at them for not sending her to the boarding school because they thought it had a really unhealthy school culture. I wonder sometimes if, had they sent her to school, she would have woken up way earlier. Commenter 3. Your poor nephew. He never got to have a childhood. He only got to be a kid for a few hours a week, and the rest was spent constantly working. His home life was so horrible that an effing inpatient ward was a good time for him. Op, your sister is the devil. I hate her on your son's behalf. She's evil. Honestly, your brother-in-law is incredibly lucky that his son gave him another chance, because he's just as guilty for standing aside. Ops response. My brother-in-law only knew hard work and grinding, and I don't blame him. He was, and still is, one of the best cardiac surgeons in my area, and I work with him at the same hospital. He is a really good guy at heart and came from a really poor family. I got him, and his son saw him in a very different light when my sister wasn't in the picture. Life is complicated. Commenter 3. Do you think he was also victimized by your sister? Ops response. To a degree, yes. My sister calculated her marriage to him with precision. At the divorce hearings, when she was asked about her marriage, she said it was calculated to maximize the benefits of being married to another person and just saw it as a step in the right direction. Commenter 4. Dude, she has nothing left. Lost her divorce badly despite being a successful lawyer, husband separated, son who wouldn't care if she died at this moment, siblings who think she is insufferable? Successful career for whom now? No wonder she is struggling with her health now that reality has struck. Ops response. She wanted to lose that divorce, this is the fact. Commenter 4. Why? She doesn't want to be with her brother-in-law and son? Or has she found someone else to start her new experiment at family? At 50 plus, it would seem like a fool's effort. Ops response. I think she saw them as dead weight and wanted to be free as soon as possible when my brother-in-law sided with my nephew. It is really hard to understand what my sister's logic is. Commenter 5. I don't know if you've already described it, but can you tell us about your parents' parenting style, philosophy, and methods to the madness? I'm prompted to get any help I can, as I have a young daughter who is a bit of a meanie and not one who likes to take advice. By the way, you're not the jerk, I think you feel it was a long time coming. Ops response. They were heavy on natural consequences and being tolerant of others. Work and general ethics have always been important to them, and they always relayed the message of collaboration and cooperation. They also really emphasized the need for relaxation and self-care. My father and mother are also in the healthcare field, although they retired when I was in residency, and they saw too many burnouts. Commenter 6. I'm really confused about the family dynamic established by your parents. Your first paragraph is extremely unclear. Did they create this precedent of pushing you all into high-powered careers? Ops response. Honestly, no. I chose medicine because I really liked it. My brother became a welder because he didn't have a thing for academics. My two younger sisters are preschool teachers, one works in the special education field. Honestly, they're really chill people. Update 2 days later. My brother had a talk with her. He laid out all the stuff I told him and made her read this post. To our surprise, she knew about Reddit. When she asked what to do about it, he said she should work on herself and maybe come to peace with the fact that she will die alone in a care home. He said, she was looking really defeated, but she understood why she was abandoned by the family. She will leave town to transfer her office to another state because, as she told me, it was too painful for her. Again, an egocentric perspective, but she will leave, at least. She is leaving next Monday. My nephew said he wants to look into her eyes one last time before she leaves, so he will meet her on Saturday afternoon at my brother's house. Second update 2 days later. Good morning from the gray city of Cologne. I have an update, and after 24 hours to answer people's questions, I will log out from this account because I think it is over. Also, Reddit is really overstimulating for a guy who is in the second half of his 40s. First of all, my family does not blame me for her situation. They think I was a jerk for not listening to her. They apologized after seeing the post, though. All is well, we communicated. I also apologized for being too rough on them. My sister is another story. Last night, we went to the house of my brother and sister-in-law. She was there, sitting with no expression, just a dull face. When my nephew greeted her, she just said, "Hello, son," in a really neutral voice, scary even. She looked at him after 5 minutes of silence and said, "I failed to raise you. I gave you so much pain, and I almost caused your life. For that, I am sorry. I am sorry for not realizing it sooner. On Monday, I will be leaving your lives, and I will not ever come back. I just want you to know that I did what I thought was best. I understand now it wasn't." My nephew looked at her and said, "I unfortunately know. I know and see you still believe that we have to move on. I will move on, mother, but without you. I will move with the people who loved me, not with someone who sees me as a training dog. Farewell, mother." And he gestured with his head that he wanted to go. I looked at my sister and said, "Bye, sis. I hope you find peace with your new life." She silently nodded, and we left. My brother and sister-in-law told me that she will legally separate her ties with us in every way possible. They are helping her to do that, and my sister-in-law said, "We need this, and she needs this. Us being separate will be much better for all of us." Not a big ending, but it is an ending to this. My parents and she had a talk on Friday, and they realized the wounds are too big and painful to heal together. Not a happy ending, but at least it ended. Thanks to all for reading. I also took note of your recommendations, and I will be applying them. Edit. Last note, dear all, I took your concerns and had a phone call with her. I talked with her, and she does not have an ounce of it. She said she does not want to come that close to death ever again. She is currently preparing for her new life, and she is just like herself, stoic, ready for new horizons, and leaving her old life behind. I am also a doctor, and I have had my fair share of suicidal patients. She is fine, but also, thanks for your concerns about her. Honestly, I don't care anymore what is happening to her. My parents care about her death, and that is enough for me. Goodbye. Top/relevant comments. Commenter. German lady here. 48, aka same age as Op and his siblings. To be honest, I was not surprised either, reading that this is a story happening in Germany. Our parents' generation is, sadly, a terrible one, and it's only partly their fault. They were born either during World War II or shortly after, to war-traumatized parents who were part of one of the biggest crimes in human history and came from a nation of perpetrators of the Holocaust. Our parents' generation was raised in silence, with suppressed emotions, a need to function, and a total lack of empathy. There is a huge emotional atrophy in our parents' generation that has bled into our generation. They grew up with the need to function and achieve in order to be worth anything, building from the ruins, guilt, and horrors of a war caused by their parents. My generation is full of emotionally stunted people who don't know how to build connections with their children beyond function and making them achieve something. Some did the emotional work or had therapy to heal, most have not or are just starting to now in their 40s or 50s. And our children have suffered for it. I see it in my own family and in myself. I was the kid in the late 80s/90s suffering from depression and addiction. And I still work on myself in therapy. Never had kids, because I was aware of my trauma and my inability to provide emotionally for myself, let alone any children. Through all of this, I finished university and functioned tirelessly, and I'm, career-wise, the most successful of my siblings. They all got married and had children. These children are the third generation after the World War II generation, and guess what? Mental health is bad. I have an 18-year-old niece with major depression, anxiety, and emotional development below her age. My brother and his wife did not do the emotional work they should have done to deal with the trauma inflicted by our parents. The difference is that my nieces and nephews have A, me, and B, my sister, who has done the work. Her kids are better off. My point is, Op's sister is not an exception. She might be an extreme, but there are thousands of stories like this or similar in Germany, and it's not talked about enough. Mental health resources are also insufficient. I believe this goes back even before the World War II generation. This is the trauma war brings to humans, for generations. And the human race has not learned anything and has not had time to heal, because it doesn't just affect Germans. We are walking right back into it. Op's response. The interesting thing is, my parents are both pharmacists and, before having children, pursued professional and personal growth in the 1960s. They were born in 1949 and had my sister in 1974. At the time, my mother was actively working as a researcher in the pharmaceutical industry, in the field of psychiatric medications. This makes the whole thing all the more incomprehensible to me. Third update 5 days later. Multiple people PM'd me, and my inbox was spammed with messages from Reddit, so I'm going to give this update and disconnect my email address from this account. To the people who were concerned, I sent the update and she laughed. Yes, she laughed that people thought she was going to kill herself. She said, I am getting better, even though I know I failed my son. He will be fine, I will be fine, and we will all move on. At this point, I was enraged. I unleashed everything and told her how she could switch so fast from begging for acceptance to indifference, and what she said really made me think she is a sociopath. You all caught me in my weakest moment, but after leaving you behind, I realized my biggest mistake was thinking I needed acceptance from you people. I then asked if she didn't feel bad when the judge burned her in court. She said, at that time, I was only relieved to be free of you, and when you question your mortality, you search for companionship instinctively. I don't know how to translate this from German, but I tried, but I know better now. Don't expect a call from me, and don't wait for a funeral announcement. Goodbye. And she hung up the phone. I don't know what else to say other than I hope she dies alone in a care home, with no one left to hurt. But with this hatred against us, I hope it happens soon. Good night, everyone.